Hi, welcome back to the channel. I'm Vicky. Today I'm going to show you how to make a small embossed sign. So the first thing to do is take either a sign, a piece of wood that you got from a craft store, or a small piece of scrap wood. This is about 4 by 6. And if it's a piece of scrap wood, you'll need to sand it. So first I sand it with a heavy grit, and then I sand it with a finer grit. I just sand enough to remove the rough spots and make sure I don't get splinters, since it's going to be painted and covered in Mod Podge. And I put on a fairly thick coating of Mod Podge. Now you see I have a bunch of cut out pieces of cardstock. I previously cut these out on my silhouette. Just a lot of different shapes. Some of them are steampunk. Mostly it's steampunk, but I have some stars and moons with a lot of gears and these adorable little dragons and copper piping. You could also use stickers. Anything that raises up the surface just a little bit, enough that you'll see a contrast when you go to paint it. So once the Mod Podge is down, you'll take the stickers or the cutouts and start to place them on the surface of the wood. Any order, you can make designs if you like, but my stuff was very random and I just put it all over. And then I sort of tapped it down with the brush that still had Mod Podge on it. And after I had a layer, like one layer of cutouts, I started adding a little more depth to it and put double layers in various places. And you just want to make sure it's glued down really well. So once the Mod Podge has dried, you want to start painting. And I chose this dark purple as my base coat. I've made a number of these sort of embossed signs, and I like the effect of a dark color on the bottom. So I just gave it one coat of the purple over the whole thing. You can paint the back if you want. I did not. I just painted the sides and the top. And then I sort of smoothed it out over the Mod Podge. And brush marks don't matter because you're going to be adding more layers of paint. Then you let the purple dry. And then next I went to the yellow. And I'm using more of a ragging technique for the rest of this instead of a brush. So you could probably brush it on with a dry brush or a chip brush or something like that. I like the ragging better. And so what I did for the yellow was I just spread it all over on top of the purple. And it wiped off a little of the purple and added a little bit of dimension onto the embossed looking parts, and then I put some on the sides as well. And you don't want too much paint on the rag because you just want the littlest bit, because you can always go over it more strongly if you don't like the way it's looking. And without waiting for that to dry, because it really doesn't take very long for it to dry when it's this thin of a coat, I took the sky blue and did the same thing with it. I sort of ragged it on, and I started wiping it on, and then I realized it was pulling off a little bit of my previous coats, especially because I hadn't let the yellow dry, and it was mixing in too much into the yellow and making it green. So then I started sort of dabbing it, and I think the dabbing ended up working better after that first coat of yellow. So the light blue, I just dabbed at it, and then I did the same thing with this aqua color. I just put a little bit on the rag and started dabbing. Now the good thing about the dabbing technique is that it's okay if it's a little bit more, like I'll kind of put it around, like just like that, and then wipe it a little tiny bit. As you can see, I'll sort of spot it all over, and then I'll just push on it a little bit more as I go around. And I didn't want this to be too dark because it is supposed to be spring, but it's also slightly a steampunky kind of vibe with the different gears and things. So a little bit dark I thought worked for this particular piece. And then I just added a little bit more of the light blue after I was finished with the turquoise. What do you think? I think it turned out pretty cool.